Flavius Josephus, born Joseph ben Matthias, entered the world in a time of great change and escalating tension in Judea. The land was a melting pot of cultures, ideologies, and political ambitions, each vying for dominance. The year was 37 AD, a period marked by significant historical events and transformations. His birthplace was Jerusalem, a city teeming with religious and political fervor. It was a hub of activity, where the sacred and the secular often collided. Josephus's family was both distinguished and devout, belonging to the priestly aristocracy of Judea. They were respected figures in the community, known for their piety and influence. His father, Matthias, traced their lineage back to the first course of priests, the division of Jehoiarib. This connection to the ancient priesthood was a source of immense pride. This lineage placed them among the elite of Jewish society, granting them both status and responsibility. His mother's family, however, boasted a royal lineage, descending from the Hasmonean dynasty. This royal connection added another layer of prestige to their family name. This unique blend of priestly and royal blood underscored Josephus's privileged upbringing and the weight of expectation placed upon his shoulders. He was groomed for greatness from a young age. Josephus's education reflected his family's high standing. He was taught by the best scholars of the time. He received a comprehensive education in Jewish law, history, and tradition. His studies were rigorous and thorough. He diligently studied the Torah, the sacred text at the heart of Judaism. This was the foundation of his intellectual and spiritual life. Josephus also immersed himself in the wisdom of the Pharisees, Sadducees, and Essenes. These groups represented the diverse theological landscape of Judea. These were the prominent Jewish sects of the time, each with their own interpretations of Jewish law and tradition. Their debates and discussions were a vital part of his education. This rigorous education instilled in him a deep understanding of his heritage, shaping his worldview and influencing his future writings. It was a period of intense intellectual growth. Beyond religious studies, Josephus demonstrated a keen interest in classical literature and philosophy. He was curious about the world beyond Judea. He delved into the works of Greek and Roman thinkers, broadening his intellectual horizons. This exposure to different cultures and ideas was invaluable. This exposure to diverse schools of thought fostered in him a unique perspective. He learned to appreciate the complexities of different cultures. It allowed him to navigate the complexities of the Jewish and Roman worlds. This skill would prove crucial in his later life. This ability to bridge two distinct cultures would become a defining characteristic of his life and work. It set him apart from his contemporaries. His early years were marked by a thirst for knowledge. He was always eager to learn and understand more. He absorbed the wisdom of his ancestors, while embracing the intellectual currents of the wider world. This blend of old and new shaped his thinking. However, the relative peace of Josephus's youth was not to last. The political landscape was changing rapidly. Judea, under Roman rule, was a land simmering with unrest. The tension was palpable, and conflict seemed inevitable. As Josephus came of age, tensions between the Jewish population and their Roman overlords escalated. The situation grew increasingly volatile. This volatile atmosphere cast a long shadow over his life, propelling him into a central role in the tumultuous events that would forever alter the fate of Judea. He could not remain a mere observer. It was within this crucible of conflict that Josephus's character would be tested. The challenges he faced were immense. His experiences would transform him from a scholar of history into a reluctant participant in its making. The events of his time would shape his destiny. The year 66 AD marked a turning point in Josephus's life and in the history of Judea. This year saw the beginning of a monumental struggle that would shape the future of the region. It was the year the First Jewish-Roman War, also known as the Great Revolt, erupted. This cataclysmic conflict pitted the Roman Empire, at the zenith of its power, against the rebellious Jews fighting for their freedom and religious identity. As a young man of 29, Josephus found himself caught in the maelstrom of this conflict. His life irrevocably altered as the fires of rebellion spread throughout Judea. Initially, Josephus's role in the revolt was one of diplomacy rather than warfare. He belonged to a moderate faction that sought a peaceful resolution with Rome. Recognizing his intellect and diplomatic skills, the Jewish authorities in Jerusalem entrusted him with a perilous mission. They dispatched him to Galilee, a hotbed of resistance in northern Judea, to quell the growing rebellion and negotiate with the Roman authorities. Josephus's efforts to broker peace proved futile. The flames of rebellion, fanned by years of resentment against Roman rule, had grown too fierce to be contained. The Jewish rebels, deeply distrustful of Rome and fueled by a fervent desire for independence, rejected any notion of compromise. As the situation escalated, Josephus found himself increasingly drawn into the vortex of the revolt, his initial pacifism giving way to a sense of duty to his people and their struggle. Despite his lack of military experience, Josephus was thrust into a command position by the Galilean rebels. Faced with the overwhelming might of the Roman legions, he displayed surprising resilience and tactical acumen. He fortified cities, trained troops, and implemented effective defensive strategies. His leadership, though born out of necessity rather than ambition, earned him respect among the rebels. It highlighted his ability to adapt and rise to the occasion in the face of extraordinary circumstances. Josephus's journey from a diplomat to a military leader is a testament to the unpredictable nature of history and the resilience of the human spirit. The tide of the war turned decisively in Rome's favor with the arrival of Vespasian, a seasoned general known for his military prowess and ruthlessness. Vespasian, accompanied by his son Titus, unleashed the full force of the Roman legions upon the rebellious province. City after city fell to the relentless Roman advance. Josephus, commanding a contingent of Jewish rebels, found himself besieged in the Galilean city of Jotapata. The siege of Jotapata, lasting 47 grueling days, became a testament to the ferocity of the conflict and the tenacity of its defenders. Josephus, leading with determination and courage, inspired his men to resist the Roman onslaught with unwavering resolve. Despite their valiant efforts, the city's defenses eventually crumbled under the relentless Roman assault. Jotapata fell, and Josephus, along with a handful of survivors, sought refuge in a nearby cave. Trapped and facing certain death or capture, Josephus's life took another dramatic turn. It was a turning point fraught with controversy and moral ambiguity. Within the confines of the cave, a desperate pact was made. Josephus, persuaded by a prophecy he interpreted as divine will, surrendered to Vespasian. He embraced the role of a captive rather than choosing death alongside his comrades. Josephus's surrender was an act of pragmatism, desperation, and perhaps self-preservation. He saw in Vespasian not a conqueror but a potential savior of the Jewish people. Josephus, with his understanding of both Roman and Jewish culture, positioned himself as a mediator. He hoped to mitigate the Roman response and prevent further bloodshed. His actions, however, were viewed by many of his fellow Jews as a betrayal, a stain on his reputation that would follow him throughout his life. Josephus's decision to surrender to Vespasian, while deeply controversial, proved to be a pivotal moment in his life. This act of surrender was not just a simple capitulation, but a strategic move that would alter his destiny forever. It spared him from the fate that befell so many of his comrades and set him on a new path, a path that would see him transition from a military leader to a chronicler of history. This new path would see him transition from a military leader to a historian, chronicling the very events he had witnessed and participated in. His writings would become invaluable records of the Jewish-Roman conflicts. Vespasian, recognizing Josephus's intellect and potential value, treated his captive with unexpected leniency. This leniency was not just an act of mercy, but a calculated decision to utilize Josephus's knowledge and skills. Josephus, now a prisoner of war, accompanied Vespasian's entourage as the Roman general continued his campaign to crush the Jewish revolt. This close association with Vespasian allowed Josephus to observe the Roman military strategies up close. This proximity to the heart of Roman power gave Josephus a unique perspective on the inner workings of the Roman war machine and the minds of its leaders. He gained insights that few outsiders ever had the chance to see. He witnessed firsthand the discipline, organization, and ruthlessness that made the Roman legions the most formidable fighting force of their time. These observations would later inform his detailed accounts of the Roman military. When Vespasian became emperor of Rome in 69 AD, Josephus's fortunes rose with those of his former captor. This elevation in status provided Josephus with opportunities he could never have imagined. Vespasian, true to his word, granted Josephus his freedom. This act of liberation was a turning point, marking the beginning of Josephus's new life as a free man. He bestowed upon him Roman citizenship and a pension, signifying his trust in the former rebel leader. These honors were not just symbols of trust, but also tools to secure Josephus's loyalty. Josephus, demonstrating his loyalty to his new patron, adopted the emperor's family name, Flavius, becoming known from that point forward as Titus Flavius Josephus. This name change was a significant gesture, symbolizing his new identity and allegiance. This period marked a profound shift in Josephus's life. He was no longer a rebel leader but a respected member of Roman society, freed from the shackles of captivity and embraced by the Roman elite. He found himself in a position of influence and security. His new status allowed him to navigate the complexities of Roman politics and culture. He had access to the imperial court, its libraries, and the patronage of the Flavian dynasty. These resources provided him with the tools he needed to document history comprehensively. It was within this environment of relative peace and intellectual stimulation that Josephus embarked on his most enduring work as a historian, aiming to bridge the divide between the Roman and Jewish worlds through his writings. His works would become a crucial link between two great cultures,